Adam, congratulations on being inducted into the California Wrestling Hall of Fame. Much deserved.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think my first memory of you is when I saw you wrestle as a freshman at UC Davis, and you were a standout then, and you continue to be. That's for sure. You've been around wrestling most of your life. Did you have any heroes growing up in the sport, or people that you looked up to that inspired you?
Obviously I was coached by my dad. He was my biggest influence in wrestling and started me out kicking and screaming, and I think that's how a lot of kids started out. But now that I'm older and have my own kids, I appreciate the things he did. Dragging me to practice even when I didn't want to go, and I was always around the team, and I grew up around the sport, and believe it or not, you develop an appreciation for the sport just being around it. And
right.
I always wanted to be like the high school kids that he had. Even though I was 6, I didn't see any difference between their age and mine, and I did push-ups with them, and tried to wrestle with them as much as I could. And as I got older, and I do more wrestling with them, and never really understood the significance of it, but I think that was a big part of my development. And I went through college and came back, and now we're coaching together. So there's been a lot of great people, but Dad would definitely be number one.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was probably for you. It wasn't a matter of, are you going to go out for wrestling? It's like, when do you get to?
Yeah, in my family, it was you're going to wrestle, and you're going to do your best, and you don't have to win, but this is a big part of what we're going to do, just because all the other things you learn from wrestling, and then as you get older, you realize those.
Yeah, and being around the team and all makes a big difference. I know for my boys, they started when I was down at Calvary Chapel, and they wanted to be a church boy, and they expected to be a state champion and all that kind of thing. And you know how that is when you're around those kinds of people, then it kind of sets the bar for the young kids, and I'm sure you were one of those.
Mm-hmm.
You had that sense of expectation right away.
Yeah.
What personal attribute or aspect of you, Adam, do you think contributed most to your success? Obviously very successful as a competitor, NCAA champion and all.
I think probably, for better or for worse, my wife would maybe say for worse, but just a little bit of obsessive, compulsive about, having a goal, and, I kind of lock into something and tend to have a very narrow focus. It doesn't always lend itself well to all aspects of life, but if you're a goal-oriented person and you have that personality, I was very driven to achieve the things I wanted to achieve. And I remember several examples of, falling short or not being there, and it was just right away, just, wanting to get back, and, because that was what I was going to do. And I always felt like, now looking back, if I, wanted to do something, I felt like it was going to happen, like I was going to make it happen. So, like I said, it's a personality, trait or defect, depending on how you look at it. But it's something that lends itself well, and I think you'd find it in a lot of high level, wrestlers, athletes.
Well, I think you have to be that way, or you can't reach the level that you desire to.
Yeah.
What is your single most outstanding memory from your career? It could be as a competitor, and now you've been coaching for quite a few years.
Man, I've had some great ones in coaching, and they all kind of run together as far as just seeing a kid, reach their goal. Just like, because as I was saying about, being obsessive about my goals and reaching it. But my best memory is winning the NCAA, and it wasn't so much the title as what it represented for me and all the time and effort I put in. And I remember falling short the year before. And, just talking, I remember talking to the little student reporter, and she felt bad about interviewing me, but she needed a story. And I said, I got 364 more days. I'm going to be right back here next year. And but literally taking that, and acting on it, right away, and, just being that way. So when I finally, won, and knowing as you got older that was no guarantee, when, again, my personality, and I think all kids think, oh, for sure, I'm going to be a multiple-time NCAA champion, not realizing how difficult it was. And, winning that and realizing it and it being 100 times more difficult than I ever thought it would be, but being able to do it was was my best memory. Like I said, 'cause I put so much into it, and and was able to get to that point.
Yeah, I know that Illinois had kind of a streak when you were there of the guys preceding you and after, where they got in the finals and expected to win a championship. Did that help you? I mean, you started off at Stanford and then you went over to Illinois, and was there a difference in mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why I left Stanford. I mean, I like certain things about Stanford, but I realized very quickly that actually helped me. I was glad I did that, because it helped me realize that what I wanted out of my college career, and I wanted the opportunity to be the best I could be, and those guys gave me they gave me the things that my dad built on or started, and but they had experience and good people, good family atmosphere, very caring. And so not only do you get the wrestling side, but it takes a lot to win at that level.
Absolutely.
It's not just moves or training. It's
Right.
it's a little bit everything. And Mark Johnson, Jim Heffernan were and many others along with Steve Marinetti and the people that were there were able to provide that. So yeah, so that, I mean, I'd like to as a wrestler, you'd like to think I could have done it anywhere, but
Right.
they were a big part of it. I don't see it happening anywhere
You
else.
get in the right environment, and it can make it happen for you. You've competed at the highest level, collegiately in wrestling, and now you're been coaching with your dad, and I know you're a big part of that program. And I've got to tell you, you're probably the only guy I've seen that can keep your dad in line.
I think that's why it works so well.
That's probably a compliment, I
Yeah.
think. So you're a good team together. And what have you found more challenging, competing or coaching?
Oh, I think coaching. You're dealing with with yourself. As difficult as it is physically and mentally, it's just one person, and yourself, and your strengths are your strengths, and your weaknesses are your weaknesses. But coaching, you're always trying to tailor, and the way we do it, and we've been obviously successful, and it's been a process, but just trying to keep it going from year to year.
Yes.
And you're not just coaching the best guys, you're coaching the younger guys, and
Right.
how do we get the whole team to get better at the basics, while allowing our strongest guys to get good enough to
Right.
be the state champion that they want to be, or
Or the national champion?
yeah, wrestle at the next level. So I think that's by far the most challenging. But we've been a good team, and we've got some other great team members around us. And I honestly, people ask me this all the time, and I think it's like any good team. You look at any professional team that's good. You have the right pieces in place, and everybody plays a role, and they're okay with their role. Everybody's not trying to take over the other person's role. And we were lucky over. My dad was mostly the architect. I mean, he spent years just cultivating these relationships,
Right.
and then I came in and brought sort of the college training and adapted it for high school, and picked up Ben Holscher has been a big part of the program, time-wise, and same kind of intensity and craziness that we have, and then you mix them all together, and like I said, they're here tonight, and we got a great junior high coach. I think he's one of the best. He's happy to be junior high coach.
Yeah.
He likes doing what he's doing. It's not, hey, I'm coaching junior high, and
Not
now I want your job. Yeah, how come I'm not coaching the varsity guys? So anyway, that's what I think has been challenging, but we've adapted, and I've learned every year as a coach. I'm probably way better coach than I first started, but that's part of being a student of the sport and trying to
Absolutely.
learn, trying to be better at things.
Yeah, and a lot of the questions that we ask the other inductees, they're at the tail end of their careers, so I think those would be strange questions for you.
Yeah.
For you,
Yeah.
What would you like people to remember about Adam Tirapelle?
Yeah.
What would you, at this point in your career?
Oh, I always say I'd like people to remember me as somebody who affected the sport in bigger than just a wrestler or a coach. That I try to do things from a bigger perspective. That hey, we can market the sport better, and ways to change just qualifying systems and things that can make the sport better for everybody. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love our team, and we're trying to win, but
There's something bigger than that.
yeah, but we're trying to win just like everybody else is trying to win. And if they beat us, I shake their hands and say, hey, congratulations, you must have worked really hard. Because I know we were working really hard. But more, I take pride in California wrestling, and I know a lot of people do, but it's not just taking pride in it, it's how do you, how do you take it to the next level? And how do we, we'd like to get some of our college programs back, and we haven't done that yet, but hopefully that's, a step in the future. And just like I said, making where people say, hey, that Adam Tirapelle was a smart guy, and he really helped, wrestling for all of us, whether they wrestled for Clovis or not.
Right. Yeah, and that's admirable. Appreciate that. I've always sensed that in you anyway, that you're not just out singularly for, your school or yourself, but you're looking out for the greater good of everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, you like to compete as a competitor. That's what we're in it for.
Right.
But I think that's actually been one of the nice things with my brother, coaching at Buchanan, and I think people were really weirded out by that at first, like it was going to be a fight, and we're competitors. Like we compete against each. Yeah, we compete. We had a great dual meet last year, and people compete tooth and nail, but it's you respect each other.
Absolutely.
And it makes the sport better, and that's what to me that's what it's about. So as a competitor, you're trying to compete and trying to win, but like I said, you're not going to win them all, and then you try to help the sport outside of that.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a beautiful thing about it. Well, congratulations, Adam. Well deserved being inducted in the California Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Thanks, appreciate it.